We'll start with Jayarada Madhav, and then we can start. Jayo Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunja Bihari, Jayo Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha, Jayo Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha, Jayo Girivaradhari, Jayo Jashodanandana, Jayo Braja Janaranjana, Jayo Jashodanandana, Jayo Braja Janaranjana, Jayo Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jayo Kunja Bihari, Jayo Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jayo Kunja Bihari, Jayo Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jayo Radha Madhava, Sri Hari, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to the Sunday Feast program. Today, I wish to speak on the topic of prasadam, which is literally mercy of the Supreme Lord. So before we begin, let's offer some prayers to the previous acharyas in our disciplic line, by whose mercy we can understand the lessons and the essence of the scriptures. So I have shared my screens with those prayers, so you can chant on your end as well. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So today, as I said, I want to speak from the Bhagavad Gita, and the topic is prasadam of Lord Krishna. So there is a very famous verse in the Bhagavad Gita that talks about this. There are actually 3 or 4 verses that talk about this, but we will focus on this one. And through that, I want to continue on the series that I've been doing called ABCD. A stands for association, B for books, C for chanting, and D for diet. Diet on prasadam. So like a keto diet or paleo, whatever diet. And there is diet on prasadam that is very dear to Krishna's devotees. So let me share my screen. Today's verse is chapter 9, verse number 26. So I will read the verse and the translation and the purport, and then we can have a short class and discussion. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktya upahritam ashnami prayatatmanah. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. So this is Krishna telling Arjuna. So the purport. For the intelligent person, it is essential to be in Krishna consciousness, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord in order to achieve a permanent, blissful abode for eternal happiness. The process of achieving such a marvelous result is very easy and can be attempted even by the poorest of the poor without any kind of qualification. The only qualification required in this connection is to be a pure devotee of the Lord. It does not matter what one is or where one is situated. The process is so easy that even a leaf or a little water or fruit can be offered to the Supreme Lord in genuine love, and the Lord will be pleased to accept it. No one, therefore, can be barred from Krishna consciousness because it is so easy and universal. Who is such a fool that he does not want to be Krishna conscious by this simple method and thus attain the highest perfectional life of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. Krishna wants only loving service and nothing more. Krishna accepts even a little flower from his pure devotee. He does not want any kind of offering from a non devotee. He is not in need of anything from anyone because he is self sufficient, and yet he accepts the offering of his devotee in an exchange of love and affection. To develop Krishna consciousness is the highest perfection of life. Bhakti is mentioned twice in this verse in order to declare more emphatically that bhakti or devotional service is the only means to approach Krishna. No other condition, such as becoming a Brahmana, a learned scholar, a very rich man, or a great philosopher, can induce Krishna to accept some offering. Without the basic principle of bhakti, nothing can induce the Lord to agree to accept anything from anyone. Bhakti is never causal. The process is eternal. It is direct action in service to the absolute whole. Here, Lord Krishna, having established that he is the only enjoyer, the primeval Lord, and the real object of all sacrificial offerings, reveals what types of sacrifices he desires to be offered. If one wishes to engage in devotional service to the Supreme in order to be purified and to reach the goal of life, the transcendental loving service of God, then one should find out what the Lord desires of him. One who loves Krishna will give him whatever he wants, and he avoids offering anything which is undesirable or unasked. Thus, meat, fish, and eggs should not be offered to Krishna. If he desired such things as offerings, he would have said so. Instead, he clearly requests that a leaf, fruit, flowers, and water be given to him, and he says of this offering, I will accept it. Therefore, we should understand that he will not accept meat, fish, and eggs. Vegetables, grains, fruits, milk, and water are the proper foods for human beings and are prescribed by Lord Krishna himself. Whatever else we eat cannot be offered to him since he will not accept it. Thus, we cannot be acting on the level of loving devotion if we offer such foods. In the third chapter, verse 13, Sri Krishna explains that only the remains of sacrifice are purified and fit for consumption by those who are seeking advancement in life and release from the clutches of the material entanglement. Those who do not making those who do not make an offering of their food, he says in the same verse, are eating only sin. In other words, their every mouthful is simply deepening their involvement in the complexities of material nature. But preparing nice, simple vegetable dishes, offering them before the picture or deity of Lord Krishna, and bowing down and praying for him to accept such a humble offering enable one to advance steadily in life, to purify the body, and to create fine brain tissues which will lead to clear thinking. Above all, the offering should be made with an attitude of love. Krishna has no need of food, since he already possesses everything that be, yet he will accept the offerings of one who desires to please him in that way. The important element in preparation, in serving, and in offering is to act with love for Krishna. The impersonalist philosophers who wish to maintain that the absolute truth is without senses cannot comprehend this verse of the Bhagavad Gita. To them, it is either a metaphor or proof of the mundane character of Krishna, the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita. But in actuality, Krishna, the supreme Godhead, has senses, and it is stated that his senses are interchangeable. In other words, one sense can perform the function of any other. This is what it means to say that Krishna is absolute. Lacking senses, he could hardly be considered full in all opulences. In the 7th chapter, Krishna has explained that he impregnates the living entities into material nature. This is done by his looking upon material nature. And so, in this instance, Krishna's hearing the devotee's words of love in offering foodstuffs is wholly identical with his eating and actually tasting. This point should be emphasized. Because of his absolute position, his hearing is wholly identical with his eating and tasting. Only the devotee who accepts Krishna as he describes himself without interpretation can understand that the supreme absolute truth can eat food and enjoy it. So, thank you. We will read the verse translation one more time. Krishna is saying to Arjuna, chapter 9, verse 26, if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. So, in this verse, Srila Prabhupada, in his wonderful purport, is making very, very important points. One is that this process is very simple, straightforward. For the simple, it is very simple. For the simple hearted. And for the faithful, they can take this verse upon full faith that Krishna accepts whatever offering we make to him with love. The key element that is being mentioned twice in this verse is bhakti or love, right? In 2 times in this verse, Krishna mentions the word bhakti. So, by following the simple process of offering foodstuffs to Krishna in love, Krishna will accept it. And in that way, the person offering can make progress. And it is a very wonderful process. It is a marvelous transformation of something material into something spiritual. So, our Krishna conscious society is also called as a kitchen religion because cooking is such an essential and central aspect of this spiritual process. For the impersonal school, like in this purport, we read in the last last paragraph, Srila Prabhupada says that the impersonalist philosophers are amazed and they cannot understand how the absolute truth can enjoy the foodstuffs that's offered to him. Because according to their idea, the absolute truth does not have any senses. And that statement is nonsense. Because how can the absolute truth not have senses? If we are the creation from the emanating from the absolute truth and we have senses, then is it proper to say that the source from which we are come from does not have something that we possess? If we possess something, the senses, and the absolute truth doesn't possess senses, that makes us superior to the creator, which we know is not a fact. So the creator or the supreme is that from which everything emanates, including the senses emanates. So it is nonsensical to say that the absolute truth or the absolute person, supreme Lord, doesn't have senses. It is nonsensical to say that the supreme Lord doesn't have form. But these philosophies are very prominent in the world. And for many impersonalists, the process of offering food and to taste it and to enjoy or relish it is unthinkable. Because in their estimation, everything like the process of relishing is material. They want to stay away from it. because they think, oh, this is material, I don't want to be involved in it. But for the devotee, this is also a process by which they can be connected with Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada in another instance said that for the impersonalists, they only realize two aspects. That is Sat, which is eternal, eternity, and Chit, which is knowledge. But Ananda or bliss is reserved for the devotees. So the devotees realize the supreme absolute truth in all his features of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Sat means eternity, Chit means knowledge, and Ananda means bliss. So here we see in this process of offering food, simple foodstuffs, vegetable foodstuffs, that it becomes spiritualized. Matter is transformed into spirit. So when does the offering, which is also called as bhoga, becomes prasadam or mercy? So there was once, I heard the story from His Holiness Shivaram Swami. He narrated that once in McGill University in Canada, the devotees had organized a program where the flyer was distributed, and they made the statement that come and watch matter transforming into spirit before your eyes. And this was in a university, and naturally, a lot of students turned up in the venue. And the temple president at that time said, okay, now we are going to make a process by which you can see matter is going to get transformed into spirit right before your eyes. And a plate of bhoga foodstuffs was brought in that was supposed to be distributed to the audience after the program. And it was placed before a picture of Gaurnitai Panchatattva. And they rang the bell, said some prayers, and after some time, the devotee announced, now this has become spiritualized. It has become spirit now. And before anyone could challenge, he said, if you want to know the proof, you can taste this and you can see what your experience is. So it is a nice way, and it is not false, because when, as Krishna says here, that if one offers it with love, even if it is a simple leaf, a fruit, or even a little bit of water, I accept it. Krishna accepts it. And this is Krishna's mercy. Krishna says in the Gita, Ananyas chintayanto mam yejana pariyupasate tesham yukta tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyah. That he offers his protection to one who is always remembering him. And the offering of food to Krishna is a very easy and simple process by which we can remember Krishna and to be connected with Krishna. It is a process by which we get the results right away. We can actually perceive the results. It is not a fantasy statement. One can actually perceive that the taste of the food that is offered with love to Krishna is different. We may have eaten in a lot of places outside in restaurants or other places, but when we taste prasadam, that taste is completely different. The ingredients are the same, the spices are the same, the vessels, all the mechanisms for cooking are the same. But what is different? It is infused with the protection of Krishna. This relationship with Krishna is very important. And it resolves, or it eliminates all our miseries. Krishna says in the Gita that his mercy can remove all kinds of miseries. He says, Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanir ashyopajayate prasanna chetaso hi ashu buddhihi paryavatishtate. That he says that prasade sarva dukkhanam hani. All kinds of miseries can be mitigated or removed by the process or by Krishna's mercy. So this is our establishing a relationship with Krishna. This is one way we reciprocate with Krishna. For the offering to be successful, though, the principal element is that it has to be accepted by Krishna. Right? Just making an offering is not enough. As Krishna says in this verse, that bhakti, devotion, love has to be there. Then he will accept it. So this acceptance by Krishna is important. And based on the offering, there are three kinds of offerings. Broadly speaking, there are three kinds of devotees. And based on their level, there are three kinds of offerings. So the first kind of offering is the one called offerings done out of motivation. Some kind of motivation or expectation is there. So this is like when people bring offerings to the temple, like either flowers or some grains or some fruits, and they may have some expectations within that by offering this to Krishna, Krishna will make me rich, or he will solve my health problems, or he will solve my work problems, or he will solve this or that. So there is some expectation of some results, or one may be desiring something for one's relatives, that my relative or my son may find a good bride, or vice versa, right? My daughter may find a good husband, like that. So this is called motivated offering. Mm? And even this motivated offering, offerings done with motivation, are of two kinds. One is that which is offered through parampara or the disciplic succession, where the offering is done to the spiritual master in the parampara. And uh, even one may ask, what about people who are not initiated, right? Is there offerings like we see in our society also? There may be many people who are not yet formally initiated. So is their offering not accepted by Krishna? So the answer is, if the offering is done through the disciplic succession, then Krishna accepts it. Why? Because this is a concession Krishna makes. Because when a person comes to Krishna consciousness or joins the movement, and he is listening to a preacher, he is attentively hearing, and he takes the word of a bona fide preacher who says that you must offer the food to Krishna. He believes in that and he follows that. Then the offering is done through the parampara, and the acharyas or the spiritual masters in that line, they make a plea on behalf of the person, that this person so and so wants to offer something. Hmm? So if it is done through parampara, then Krishna accepts it. It is like a big person might be the a prime minister or somebody, and you want to have an audience with such a person. You may not be able to directly walk in to the office of the prime minister or the president, but if there is a secretary or if there is a officer who is close to the president or the prime minister, and they make a recommendation on your behalf that, sir, so and so nice person has come to see you. He is very good. I think if you can meet with him, it will be nice. If such a recommendation is there, then the president may say, okay, bring him in. Right? In a similar way, even if a person is not initiated, if the offering is done through the disciplic succession, parampara, then Krishna accepts it because it results in the purification of that person. Now, in this flow falls in the category of motivated offering, where there is some expectation. But there can also be the case where the motivated of like a person who makes an offering with some motivations, but if he, let's say, he does it through whimsically, right? Doesn't do any like follow through, any disciplic succession or anything, then is it considered prasadam? Well, the short answer is no, because Krishna is not obliged to accept it just because somebody made an offering, if that critical element of love is missing. But as we also see, the person stands to benefit in some regard because he is thinking that he is offering to Krishna, even though it is whimsical. At least he is making an act of offering to Krishna. Akamas sakamo va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeda purusham param. So where even if a person is full of desires, he is still doing an act of offering to Krishna. Krishna accepts it. So that is the aspect of motivated offering. Then the second category is pure offerings. And the third category is offerings that are saturated with love. So the pure offering means it is the offering done by a devotee without any motivation. And this kind, pure offerings fall into two categories. One is offerings that are done as a matter of duty. And then the second kind is offerings that are spontaneous. So offerings that are done as a matter of duty, it is still done through parampara or disciplic succession. This is the case where a person is initiated, he or she is following all the regulative principles, following the instructions of the spiritual master. And as a matter of duty, based on the instructions of the spiritual master, he or she is making an offering to Krishna. And Krishna reciprocates in that manner. So the criteria there is still that the offering is still done through parampara, through the disciplic succession. And it is done as a matter of duty that I must do this. This is my duty. There is no other motivation, like I want XYZ in return for doing this. So it is higher. It is higher than the motivated offering. And it is done under the instructions of superior authorities from a bona fide system. So it is better. The second category under the matter done as a matter of a pure offering is that which is done as a spontaneity, that one is advancing and one wants to do something for Krishna. It is a manifestation of love. It is starting. It is not at the stage of the pure love yet, but at least the spontaneity, there is a desire to satisfy Krishna, and it is advancement. So that is the second category. And the third category, so we talked about motivated offering, offerings done as a because of some expectations or motivations. Second one is pure offerings. And the third category is offering that is saturated with love and devotion, where the only goal for the person is to express his or her love to Krishna. And it is saturated with that. There is no other, there is not even a question of any material motivation there. And we see that in the reciprocation of the devotees who are eternally liberated souls in the spiritual world, where the offerings they do are full of saturation with love and devotion. And as Srila Prabhupada expressed in the purport, Krishna is not in need of anything. He is not hungry for food that somebody has to feed him. He is the source of everything. He is blissful within himself, but to reciprocate with his devotees, the love, he is very anxious for that. So based on these three kinds of offering, does that mean that the prasadam is different? Answer is yes. Based on the kind of offering, the prasadam is also different. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, ye yata mam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajamyaham mama vartamanu vartante manushya partha sarvashah. To the degree we surrender unto Lord Krishna, in that similar way, Krishna reciprocates. So, Krishna is always good, is always beneficial for everyone in whatever way. Even the demons who interacted with Krishna, they also benefited. So, Krishna is all purifying. But what is the nature of the offering? And that determines how the prasadam is. For example, we talked about the offering that is done as a matter of duty. So in that case, Krishna also accepts that offering as a matter of duty. Because Krishna says in the Gita that if I don't follow the duties, then all the world will be misled. They will be brought to ruination as a result. So Krishna also accepts the offering as a matter of duty, even though it may not be in the pure state. Right? There may be even those which are done out of some motivation, but is happening through parampara, offered through parampara, or done through as a matter of duty. Krishna reciprocates as a matter of duty to enable the person to advance, to purify, so that they can come to the topmost stage. And so we have to understand the main thing is how merciful Krishna is. Even if the person may not be in the pure state, Krishna looks upon that as the gesture, and he accepts only the good in it. And he reciprocates so that the person becomes elevated. And the other aspect to this prasadam is also the capacity of the recipient who receives this prasadam. So there are many people who may receive prasadam from the temple, like in Jagannath temple in Puri. The prasadam is actually sold in stores, right? And one may buy this prasadam and one may taste it. But the capacity of that person to appreciate prasadam. So we don't say to eat prasadam, we say to honor prasadam. Because prasadam is non-different from Krishna. And the example is that of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who played the part of a devotee. So once he was given some Jagannath Mahaprasad, and he was tasting this prasadam, and he went into a state of ecstasy. And he shared this prasadam with his close associates. And he was narrating that this prasadam is the mercy of Lord Krishna, of Lord Jagannath, and it is mixed with the saliva that is in the lips of Lord Krishna. Now somebody hears this, oh, mixed with saliva, and they become turned off, then that person does not know the position of Krishna as a supreme Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu uses the word Krishna Phele. Like when he describes this, how this prasadam has touched the lips of Lord Krishna, and he goes on to describe the sweetness of the lips of Lord Krishna, and an extensive description is there in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So there is a lot of emphasis on prasadam in the Krishna conscious tradition. Especially in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are multiple descriptions, not just of prasadam, but what items were prepared. Elaborate descriptions, whole chapters that are dedicated to the items that were prepared and offered to the Lord. And one of the prime examples, which is a very humorous one, is that of Sri Advaita Acharya inviting Lord Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda to his residence to take prasadam. And uh, there is elaborate description of the items that he served. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is complaining, I am a sannyasi, I cannot take so much. And Sri Advaita Acharya insisting that you must take in a loving manner. The tradition in Vedic tradition is that when you invite somebody to your home, you must feed them so much up to their neck that they cannot even stand up. That is the level of service. In some manner, encourage them. Like Srila Prabhupada gave the standard that with prasadam you can eat up to your neck because it is all good. So Krishna consciousness is very blissful, right? Um, there is chanting, which is blissful, and then there is kirtans, and then there is prasadam, there is dancing. Everything is built there. If you have eaten a lot of prasadam, then you can dance a lot, and it is a good workout also. So this is coming back to the story of Advaita Acharya serving Lord Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda is joking with Advaita Acharya. And it is very humorous conversations. Nityananda is complaining that you are not giving me enough. What is this? You have not served me enough. Give me more. What are you doing? Like that, he is teasing Advaita Acharya. And Advaita Acharya is saying, you, sir, you are very greedy. Please be satisfied with whatever I am giving you. I am a poor Brahmana. I am giving whatever I can. And Nityananda, in jokingly, what is this? And he picks up a bit of rice and he throws it on the ground. And a few grains touch the body of Advaita Acharya. And just by that touch, Advaita Acharya goes into ecstasy. And he says this, that Apanara sama more karibare tare, jhutha dile vipra bhali baya na karile. That he says that to make me a madman like yourself, you have thrown the remnants of your food at me. You did not even fear the fact that I am a Brahmana. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada very wonderfully writes that Advaita Acharya considered himself in the category of Smarta Brahmanas. And he considered Nityananda Prabhu to be on the transcendental stage with pure Vaishnavas. So he is saying that Lord Nityananda gave Advaita Acharya his remnants to situate him on the same platform and make him a pure, unalloyed Vaishnava or Paramahamsa. So a pure Vaishnava is not subject to the rules and regulations of the Smarta Brahmanas, right? So that is why Advaita Acharya says, Apanara sama more karibare tare, to raise me to your own standard. So this prasadam is very powerful, and the prasadam that is coming as which is tasted by a devotee, it's even more powerful. Bhakta pada duli, bhakta pada jal, bhakta bhukta avashishta eitino mahabhal. That there are three things which are very powerful. One is the dust from the feet of the devotees. The other is the water that has washed the feet of the devotees. And the third is the remnants of the food that is tasted by the devotees. And these pure devotees, their mercy is given like that. And we see that in the story of Narad Muni also, how by tasting the remnants of the big Bhakti Vedantas, the devotees, Narad Muni in his previous life, even though he was the son of a maid servant, not having any qualification, he makes advancement in spiritual life and he takes birth as Narad Muni. So we see in chapter after chapter, like in the story of Madhavendra Puri, there is the story we heard of Kshirachora Gopinath. Again, prasadam. Madhavendra Puri's interest was to learn how to make that special milk sweet rice so that he can prepare the same. He wanted to taste that sweet rice so that he can make the same thing for Krishna, for Gopal. And immediately he chastised himself that, what am I doing? The offering has not even completed yet. My Lord has not even tasted it. And I am so offensive that I am thinking about tasting it myself. So he decides to fast. So there is a lesson for us devotees in this, in that before the offering is completed, we should not even talk about tasting prasadam, even think about tasting prasadam, because it is meant to be enjoyed by Krishna first. Hmm? So um, in the advanced stages, as I talked earlier, when offerings that are saturated with love and devotion, in those cases we see that they don't even follow sometimes the rules and regulations. Like for example, the cowherd boys in Vrindavan, when they are sitting around Krishna, they just bring their food and they eat from their lunch packs, and they may just take one of the items and actually say, hey Krishna, taste this, and they will stuff that in Krishna's mouth. No ringing of bells and making prayers or anything. They will just directly stuff that in Krishna's mouth. So this is what happens when it is at the stage of love and devotion. Krishna directly accepts that from the hand of the devotee. Sometimes the cowherd boys will take a bite of the sweet and say, oh, this is so wonderful, Krishna, you taste this. So, and they will feed this half-eaten sweet, and they will put it in Krishna's mouth. And Krishna accepts it because Krishna, again, is attracted by the love and devotion. Hmm? And prasadam is not just food, it is everything. Because the verse that follows right after this verse, chapter 9, verse 26, which we are discussing from, that verse says, Krishna says, Yat karosi, yat juhosi, yad asnasi, dadasi, tat tapasyasi kaunteya, kurusve madarpanam. That Krishna says that whatever you do, yat karosi, yat juhosi, right? He yat karosi, yad asnasi, yat juhosi, dadasi. Asnasi means whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you give away, whatever you give away in charity. Do that as an offering unto me. Whatever austerities you perform, do it as an offering to me. So the devotee's life is transformed and Krishna becomes the center. And whatever the devotee does, whatever the devotee eats, whatever the devotee offers or gives away, he does it as an offering to Krishna. He never puts himself as the center or the doer, that I am giving away something in charity. He becomes an instrument of Krishna, and he acts as an instrument of Krishna and offers everything to Krishna. And that is bhakti. That is Krishna consciousness, to be conscious of Krishna 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So whatever the devotee eats to keep body and soul together, he does it so that he can offer service to Krishna. Even when he is sleeping, so that his body can get some rest, he does it as an offering to Krishna. In that way, his whole life is an offering to Krishna. Hmm? So prasadam doesn't mean just food, it is everything. When a devotee offers everything to Krishna, then he himself becomes Krishna's prasadam. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Brahmarpanam, Brahma Havir, Brahma, that everything that is connected in this process becomes spiritualized. Hmm? So, devotees giving their whole life to Krishna, that means their whole life has become Krishna's mercy. Hmm? And devotees establish a relationship with Krishna even in this life, and Krishna protects them. There is a story of a cow and a tiger. Once a cow was grazing in the forest, and a tiger started chasing it. And the cow was running up for its life, and it fell in a swamp. And the tiger, in its haste, also jumped behind the cow, and it also fell in the swamp. So both of them were trying to get out of the swamp, but not able to. They couldn't. They were stuck in that mud. And after a while, both of them tired, and the tiger also stopped trying to get to the cow. So there was some distance between them. And the tiger was glaring at the cow and said, "Today I am going to eat you. Hmm? You just watch. You cannot escape from here." So the cow asked the tiger, "Sir, do you have a master?" And the tiger replied, "What? What master? I am the king of the jungle. I don't have any masters." Huh? And the cow replied, "Sir, that is your misfortune. You see, when the sun sets, my master will come looking for me, and he will save me from this swamp that I have fallen into. But he will not save you." Hmm? So this is what our relationship with Krishna does, because Krishna protects us. He takes a personal interest in our life. And all we have to do is engage in his service without any motivation. That is the pure stage we want to reach to. Hmm? So I will tell another story. Once there was a king, and I am telling the story about the relationship with Krishna, the power of this friendship, making friends with Krishna. So this is a story in which a king was traveling in a forest along with his party, and he gets lost. And he is tired, he is hungry, thirsty, etc. What travel does, right? So he is looking. He couldn't find anything. And finally, some village people, a village man, he meets the king, and he comes to know that, oh, this king is hungry and thirsty. So he brings him back to his village. And in his village, all the residents are very happy to see the king, and they offer various services to the king and to his party. And this village man feeds the king some food. And the king is very happy, joyful, feeling a lot of gratitude towards this people. So he asks, sir, he asked the village people, like, what do you want? Ask me anything, I can give anything. And all the people in the village, all the different people, they ask for different things, like, sir, I want money, I want more cows, or I want an employment, or this or that. They ask for different things. And finally, the king asked the man who had fed him, the village man who found him, who brought him to the village, what would you like? Anything you ask. Ask for a whole country, I can give you that. And the man said, I only want your friendship. And the king was surprised that this person was asking for only his friendship. He said, well, I can give you anything else. Ask anything else. I can give that as well. And the person said, no, I just want your friendship. And so the king said, okay, I will always remember you, and you are always my friend. And he leaves. And the rest of the village, after the king leaves, they start criticizing this person. What kind of a fool are you? You had such a golden opportunity. You could have asked for anything, like we asked, right? We all got whatever we asked. Why didn't you ask? And the person didn't say anything. Okay, so a few years passes, right? And this village man had a daughter, and it comes to the time when the daughter has to be married. Hmm? So the man writes a letter to the king saying that this is from your friend whom you may remember. Huh? My daughter is getting married. I would like you to come and attend the marriage of my daughter. The king, upon receiving the letter, remembers this man, and he decides to attend the marriage. So what happens when a king is going to come? It is not an ordinary thing. Immediately, the ministers got into work. They came to the village with a big retinue, and they brought a lot of workers. So they put a royal highway to the village, to the man's home, huh? To make sure that the king can travel in comfort. They arranged everything in the man's home so that the marriage can happen in a big setting. They arranged for everything, all the food, all the welcoming, everything. They changed the man's home also. They built a palace for him to make sure that the king, when he visits, he is not walking into some hut. He is coming into a palace. So all the village people, when they saw this happening, they were amazed and they understood the wisdom behind the man's request for the friendship of the king. They understood that they asked for these small things and they got it, but this person actually got the friendship of the king and also got all the facilities because the king was coming. And the entire village also benefited because all these modifications of creation of facilities and everything benefited the village also. So this is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. Krishna is the supreme king, supreme lord. So if one just offers anything out of love, Krishna accepts it. And Krishna considers that person a friend. He extends his hand of friendship. And everything needed in that person's life is taken care of. One need not be anxious for these things. Krishna will provide everything. That is why that verse says, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana pariyupasate, tesham yogabhiyuktana yogakshemam vahamyaha. Tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaha. Krishna carries whatever we lack and he preserves whatever we have. So this is the beauty of this process of offering foodstuffs to Krishna and tasting only prasadam. One can live very happily, a very healthy life because prasadam is very healthy. So materially and spiritually, there is only benefit. And at the end of one's life, one can go back to Krishna to serve him eternally. So I will conclude here. Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments or reflections? If there is some points that appeal to you, please share. Are there any questions? Okay, that's the case. Thank you so much. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवत गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. So we can go to see the Aarti. It's getting time, I think a couple of minutes to seeing the Aarti of the Lordships. But if one take home message I can emphasize, please try to eat only Krishna Prasadam, offer something or whatever you eat, offer it with love to Krishna. In that purport, Srila Prabhupada says, what can be offered to Krishna? So, verse we discussed was chapter 9, verse 26. Please review that. For those who joined late, please review that. And yes, take to this process very earnestly, and it is all beneficial. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I unmuted Jamil's. Haribo. Okay, we unfortunately we cannot hear anyone on the other side today for some reason. But yeah, thank you so much, Madhava Hari Prabhu, for I couldn't hear, but what an amazing class as always. Thank you. Shrishta, can you say something?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, okay, we can hear you. Perfect. Okay, you can start.
Hare Krishna, Hare
then everyone. Sandvi.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Sandini, you're up.
Okay. Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. भक्त शिरोमणि श्रील प्रहलाद महाराज की जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की गुरुदेव की जय टैगोर प्रेमानंद
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Sandhani.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much, everyone, for the kirtan. Hare Krishna.